So this is the Chemex method. I like to do hand-folded filters. I like to go with the air bleached filters. I don't like the unbleached paper. You can actually, it's counterintuitive, but you can actually taste a flavor that the unbleached filters. Interestingly enough, if you want to try this at home, you can take some unbleached filters and just pour hot water through them, and then compare it to the same filter that's been bleached with air, and you'll see exactly what I mean. You'll see me put 3 scoops in because I like to purge the grinder before we actually grind the beans. So with the coffee that I'm actually going to be tasting, we throw 1 scoop in to clear out anything else that might have been in there. Again, when you're evaluating coffee, I don't want any Sulawesi in my Sumatra. I don't want any Ethiopian in my Sumatra. I don't even want a different type of Sumatra in my Sumatra. I want the Sumatra I'm tasting in my Sumatra. And that's it. So also the cone is really conducive for a nose shaped like mine.
Haha. And real good whiff, huh?
It works good. So fresh is not always better. At least with espresso.
Right.
This is baggy.
Baggy. Okay, let me taste baggy. And this one is which again?
It's Sulawesi. You recognize that flavor?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was in the Ethiopian coffee too, even
Yeah.
though this is Sumatra, I mean, it's Sulawesi. There's a whole lot of other flavors competing with that wet cardboard, that wet burlappy flavor comes through. I didn't smell it. It certainly comes through in the taste.
It hits your tongue too. Do you notice that it's almost like instantly dries on your tongue?
Yeah, on the sides and the back, and
Yeah.
then it burns. There's a little burn on the back of my in my throat.
No. Sumatra wins.
Well, and coffee it's really fragile in the sense that it's like a sponge. I just heard this terrible story of a friendly coffee roaster where they had this fantastic cup of excellence coffee, like I don't know, 20, 30 bags of coffee. Not a lot of coffee because there was not a whole lot. That was that farmer's output, right?
Right.
And it fetched a super high price. But they decided they were going to paint their walls of the warehouse, and they put a tarp over it to cover it from any droppings. But I'm guessing that they must have used an oil-based paint because the coffee tasted like
paint.
Pretty much any coffee that you put through an espresso machine is espresso. Espresso is the descriptor of the process.
Aha.
So I could take any bean, like for instance that Ethiopian Edido Missi Valley makes a fantastic single origin espresso. So it's not necessarily a roast color, it's any coffee that goes through an espresso machine. Now, you'll hear people say we have espresso blends. You'll hear them say, oh, we have espresso roasts. I don't think that's a correct use of the term, an espresso roast. An espresso roast is any roast. But an espresso blend is not any blend. Because some coffees will taste better as espresso than as drip. And some will taste better as drip than as espresso. We try to make the crossover. Most of our espressos we try to make taste work both ways. So this mandolin is actually from the same region that our organic espresso is from. It's in Gayo.
Now some people have asked about organic, and I've heard that a lot of the organic is an issue sometimes of certification and labeling, and that they could have a crop that is all organic, but they only certify certain amounts of it as organic, and the rest is just regular beans, but it really is organic.
Well, let's look at it this way. Let's say this is the farmer's crop. Now, it's made of 4 parts. Every kind of certification that a farmer gets is going to cost him or her money.
Yes.
So, a great example is not that Papua New Guinea that we have. There's Papua New Guinea from the Porosa estate. fantastic example because I can get conventional, I can get organic, I can get fair trade, and I can get fair trade organic. They're all the exact same coffee grown out of the exact same fields, but they couldn't afford to get certifications for all of them. And they didn't feel that like a fair trade organic is going to be more expensive than just an organic, and more expensive than just a fair trade.
Right.
But so they'll all be different prices, and they thought, well, some of the market will accept this, some won't care about the organic, some won't care about the fair trade, some won't care about anything but the flavor. And so they're going to split their crop up that way, get certified what they can afford to get certified in a way that they think they're going to move their crop. So that's one way. Another way is a lot of the farmers, all they ever do is just, it's traditional farming methods that they've used for hundreds of years. They don't even use fertilizer. It's just, it's organic practice just because it's traditional practice.
Correct.
But it hasn't been certified. Meaning someone hasn't gone there, tested the soil. There's no record that for the last 5 or 7 years there have been no chemical fertilizers that are on the forbidden list used. That's part of the certification at that level. The certification process is like a chain of custody. Everyone along that chain of custody of the coffee has to be certified to do their job as an organic person in that field. So for instance, the farmer has to be certified organic. The trucking company has to be certified to carry organics. The boating company has to be certified to carry organic products and have it packaged in a certain way.
So when you're tasting, you aren't swallowing.
Nope.
And what are you looking for?
In Sumatra, I'm looking for a lot of body, some notes of leather. Sometimes you'll see a peatiness, like in a Scotch, like a nice smoked Scotch. Sometimes you get smoke. This has a lot of fruit. This has body, but it has a lot of fruit. You should try this. It's kind of interesting, actually. It's not what I would call a typical Sumatra. But it's clean. You know, it doesn't taste like it's dirty. There's some sweetness to it. It's one of some of the criteria that we look at: sweetness, cleanness, conformity, uniformity. I say uniformity is on the form. Conformity in my head is, does it taste like this?
But you're not as much looking for the roast as the flavor anyway.
To begin with, I'm looking at the flavor. So Correct. If I say, yeah, this is a great coffee, I'm interested in this, I'll either ask for, I know I can use this coffee. I know, I can, after just so many years of experience, I know if I take this dark, I think it's going to be fine. If I take it light, it's going to add some interesting notes of different things. This is baggy.
Baggy, okay, let me taste baggy. And this one is which again?
It's Sulawesi. You recognize that flavor?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was in the Ethiopian coffee too, even
Yeah.
though this is Sumatra, Sulawesi, there's a whole lot of other flavors competing with that wet cardboard, that wet burlappy flavor comes through. I didn't smell it, but it certainly comes through in the taste. Coffee it's really fragile in the sense that it's like a sponge. I just heard this terrible story of a friendly coffee roaster where they had this fantastic cup of excellence coffee, like I don't know, 20, 30 bags of coffee. Not a lot of coffee because there was not a whole lot. That was that farmer's output, right?
Right.
And it fetched a super high price. But they decided they were going to paint their walls of the warehouse, and they put a tarp over it to cover it from any droppings. But I'm guessing that they must have used an oil-based paint because the coffee tasted like
paint. No, right.
Right. So the storage of the beans is critical, which is why the plastic we have those things made out of is a food-grade plastic, non-interactive plastic. All right. Well, that's
Tasting 101.
That's tasting 101.
Thank you, my darling.
I could just go on all day, so we should stop.
Thank you.